at your back.
Aloha kako. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Matsumoto, and I'll serve as your MC for today. First, of course, I'd like to, as the MC, welcome everyone today to our Dhammachakka Festival program. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our president, Min who lives in California. So today she's joining us via Zoom. She will deliver her opening remarks for the beginning of our festival.
Thank you. Thank you, Bishop Masamoto. And can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great, excellent. Yeah, thank you, and aloha everyone, and greetings from California. It is such a joy to be joining you all on this very special occasion of Dhammachakka Day. Even though I cannot be there in person, I feel deeply connected to all of you through the Dhamma and through the spirits of this gathering. And Dhammachakka Day is so meaningful to Buddhists around the world. It marks the Buddha's first teaching at Deer Park, when he set the wheel of Dharma in motion. And that teaching, the Four Noble Truths and the Middle Path, remains the foundation for all of us, no matter our background or tradition. And for all of us at HAIB, this day also carries a special significance. Our association was founded over 23 years ago by my late brother-in-law and sister, whose vision was to bring Buddhists from all traditions here in Hawaii together as one family. Their guiding principle was unity in diversity, and I believe that spirit is alive right now as we gather both in person and through Zoom. Just like the spokes of a wheel meeting at the center, we too are united at the heart of the Buddha's teaching. Our diversity only makes our community richer and stronger. So I want to thank each of you for being here today, for bringing your presence, your practice, and your goodwill. So together, we will keep the wheel of Dharma turning. May this special day inspire us to deepen our unity, our compassion, and our shared commitment to the path of the Buddha. So thank you, and may all beings be well, peaceful, and free from suffering. Thank you.
Thank you, President Min. At this time, I'd like to call upon Bishop Kosen Nishikawa, who's the Bishop of the Jodo Mission of Hawaii, and he the Jodo, he's the minister here of the Jodo Mission of Hawaii. Welcome message.
Distinguished guests, venerable ministers, and members of the Hawaii Association of International Buddhists, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and aloha. On behalf of the Jodo Mission of Hawaii, I would like to extend my heartfelt welcome to all of you, both in person and joining us online, as we gather to celebrate the annual Dhammachakka celebration today. It is my great honor to reflect with you today on one of the most sacred events in Buddhist history, the first turning of the Dharma wheel, Shoten Pori in Japanese. This moment marks the very first occasion when the Buddha, having attained supreme enlightenment beneath the Bodhi tree, chose to share his realization with the world. In the deer park in Sarnath, he addressed his 5 companions and revealed the essence of the Dharma, which is the middle path, the 4 noble truths, and Eightfold Path. At first, Buddha, as you know, hesitated, thinking the truth is profound and difficult to grasp. Perhaps the world will not understand. Yet, out of his boundless compassion, he resolved to teach. And so the Dharma wheel began to run, an unstoppable force of truth for the benefit of all beings. The significance of this day cannot be overstated. It was the dawn of Buddhism in our world. It was a moment when the 3 treasures, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, were established in harmony. And the great principles of Buddhism were set forth as the enduring foundation of our tradition, faithfully carried forward for more than 2,500 years. The first turning of the Dharma wheel is not merely a story from the past. It is a timeless reminder. Even now, it continues to guide us, to show us the path of wisdom, compassion, and liberation. I wish to express my sincere gratitude to the HAIB, Hawaii Association of International Buddhists, for having this wonderful opportunity to celebrate together and reflect on the profound significance of Buddhism, a very beginning of Buddhism. I wish to express my, also, we are very honored to welcome our special guest, Dr. Caroline Sakai, and also Hawaii Gadakai, who will perform a traditional Japanese folk music later around 2:30 p.m. Once again, thank you very much for being here, both here at Jodo Mission and online. Please remain with us and let us enjoy this wonderful occasion and meaningful day together. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mr. Ishikawa, and thank you to the Jodo Mission for hosting us today. At this time, I'd like to commence, as you all know, we did receive any emails, but I'd like to briefly just mention his mission, which is Unity in diversity of all British traditions and practitioners to come together for mutual support, respect, and learn from each other based on interdependence and promote Buddhist principles in daily life is the mission statement of HAIB. There's more written on the printout. Please later, please take a read to absorb what it says. At this time, I'd like for you to please join me for a reading of the Vow of Humankind, which is also found in the printout, staple printout. If you please join me in reading the Vow of Humankind. It's a piece that we recite at the beginning of all of our gatherings and meetings. Calm and composed, awakening to our true self, practicing ardently our compassion, making full use of our abilities according to our respective purposes, discerning suffering both individual and social, and causes, recognizing the right course of action to proceed. Let us join hands as kin beyond the differences of race, station, and class. With love and compassion, we vow to bring to realization humankind's deep desire for liberation, and making every effort to create a world that is peaceful and just. Thank you. At this time, as is our tradition, we'd like to from the three major branches of Buddhism, the Mahayana, Vajrayana, and Theravada traditions. We'd like to have chants done by three schools, representatives from the three schools. And we'll first begin with our host site, the Mahayana tradition, where Bishop Cosme Ishikawa will share with us that chant.
Today, I would like to chant the Sansongai, homage to the three venerable ones, especially to praise the Amida Buddha. And this was written by Master Shandao around 7th century in China. And we have this book, the Otsutome book, page 68. And also from the screen, we share the screen. So you can follow page 68, homage to the three venerable ones, Sansongai. And because I'm not a singer, I'm pleased to do
Oh chanting all this, chanting all this tributes of this Dhammachakka means this prayers so all of us like this including the spirits. So trail activities in the demonstration what this all happens. Therefore, if you want to reach us, where's this practice? So, if you can follow a few times, so I will just start changing. Amen.
Thank you. Last but not least, from the Theravada tradition, we have Venerable Sayadaw Kosana from California.
Thank you. I am going to chant the Metta Sutra in Pali, in English, loving kindness, according to Theravada professor. Let us start now. Yanda nubhavato yakkami vatatini vidanam yami seva nuyozanto natendiva matandito Tukang tubati dodo sapapa kesina bantati Ewa madi gunu peta berekandam bernama Karaniya madaku balena nyanda tanda peterapi pemesa Teko udu satu wasa sanda mudo nati mani Tanda teko satu berosa apa kisah santana uka hobi Tanda indriyo sani perkosa apa kapor kule sana nyukendo Nasa koka matre kaisi yena wenyu prerupa waneyo Tukino wakimino hondu tawantata wendu kukitada Yeke si bana buddha ditatawa tawrawa nawatita Ikawa jiwa mana misi marata kanuka kuda Kawa yewa, kayewa, durewa, tandiya, widure. Udawa namu ediwa, taba tada, widutu kitada. Nabara bara nikam beda naki meyeka kandasi nakinsi. Yara tanapati gati nyami dajoka mesiya. Madaya dani amboka mayuka ika boka menurake. Ewan minta malu ketu mana tambah ye apari manam. Menesa tambah bokat mi mana tambah ye apari manam. Augan dosa diri yang sah tambah dawera mata padam. Kaitan sarang mi prinowa kayano yawa kanta wita meko. Kaitan dadeng dia demak mida wihara mida mahu. Kai sanu bagama bilawa katamena tambano kame duwinya kita nai sakal kembali puna reti iki pino bagawara antama tambodo waisa sarana tambano juga terloka widu anodara murita temata reti taca dewa menolana bodo bagawa Wakando bhagavata dhammo nande ego ada ego ehipat ego opat ego isada weda kowe yudi သောပတိပါဏေဘဂဝတောသာဝကသံဃောဥဇပတိပါဏေဘဂဝတောသာဝကသံဃောညာယပတိပါဏေဘဂဝတောသာဝကသံဃောသာမိစိပတိပါဏေဘဂဝတောသာဝကသံဃောယတိအသတ္တာဟိပုရိသယုဂာမိအတ္တပုရိသပုဂ္ဂလာဧတာဘဂဝတောသာဝကသံဃောအာဟုနေယောမာဟုနေယောတတိနေယောဣန္ဒလီကရဏီယောအနုတ္တရံဘုညတိတံလောကတံဧဝံဘောကံတရံတဏံဓမ္မံတံယံသဗေကောပယံဝါသမိတတံဝါဒောမံသောနာဣတတိယံဒံမိမိတံဝါမိကလိသယောသနာဘောဓကုဏတတတောပါပကဟောတုသုဝိနာကန္တံဩဃာနုဘာဝိနာဝိနာတမေတုယံဒမိမိတံဝါမိကလိသယောသနာဘောဓကုဏတတတောပါပကဟောတုသုဝိနာကန္တံဓမ္မာနုဘာဝိနာဝိနာတမေတုယံဒမိမိတံဝါမိကလိသယောသနာဘောဓကုဏတတတောပါပကဟောတုသုဝိနာကန္တံသံဃာနုဘာဝေနဝိနာသမေတုဘဝတုတဗ္ဗမေနရကံတုတဗ္ဗဒေဝတာသဗ္ဗဗုဒ္ဓ ानु ဘာဝေနတရသုဣဘောယံတုတေဘဝတုတဗ္ဗမေနရကံတုတဗ္ဗဒေဝတာသဗ္ဗဓမ္မာနုဘာဝေနတရသုဣဘောယံတုတေဘဝတုတဗ္ဗမေနရကံတုတဗ္ဗဒေဝတာသဗ္ဗသံဃာနုဘာဝေနတရသုဣဘောယံတုတေသဗ္ဗမေနံသဗ္ဗမေနံမိသိတေတ္တေစိတ်ရှင်ဝင်နေဒီအင်းပင်ကျော်သောဉာဏ်ဝဝပညာတို့သည်တေတော်မှာကံယခုနာယူရင်းနေကြသောပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ပေါင်းတို့အားဘဝတုဘဝံတုနိရညတုသမဆိုင်ပဲမှန်တိုင်းမတွေ့ဖြစ်တော်နိုင်ကြပါစေကုန်သတည်းသဗ္ဗဒေဝတာအာဂန္တတဘုမကနေယောဂဒေဝတာသာလာတိသမာဒေဝနတ်မြတ်နာကောင်းနာပေါင်းတို့သည်ဧကမကံယခုပွဲကျင်းပါ၏မိကြကုန်သောပရိပယိတ္တပေါင်းတော်ကောင်းတို့အားရတ္တံသူယင်သွေးပမာကရုဏာဖြင့်ရှုကာရွေးကောက်ဝိနည်းရောက်ရပေအောင်ကိုကြီးဝိုင်းတော်မိုင်းမဆောက်ရှောက်နိုင်ကြပါစေကုန်သတည်းသဗ္ဗဗုဒ္ဓ ानु ဘာဝေနသသင်္ဃဝါစုသေသုမကပွင့်ကြပြီးသည့်တရားရှင်ကိုယ်တော်မြတ်ကြီးတို့၏တကောတေသောအနုဘောဓတို့ကြောင့်၎င်းသဗ္ဗဓမ္မာနုဘာဝေနသဘာဂတတ္တသနာပိ၆ပြကိုရအနိဘေနှင့်ဤတော်မိညာမြတ်တရားတို့၏တကောတေသောအနုဘောဓတို့ကြောင့်၎င်းသဗ္ဗသံဃာနုဘာဝေနသသောတိပန္နတာသနာပိကိုပြကိုရအနိဘေနှင့်ဤတော်မိညာသံဃာတော်ရှင်မြတ်တို့၏တကောတေသောအနုဘောဓတို့ကြောင့်၎င်းဧတောမာကံတင်သူတော်ကောင်းတို့အားတရာမိယောညစ်ပါကံရဲ့ကာကတဲ့တုတ်ကြီးကိုစိတ်နှပြတည်လင်းပါ၍ပြပါမဏိကျမ်းမာချမ်းသာခြင်းရှိရကုန်၏ဘဝတုယရဏသုံးပါးသမ္ပကားကြောင့်အင်းရှားမတွေဖြစ်ထွန်းနိုင်ကြပါစေကုန်သတည်း Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dhammachakka. Salvador Tosano from Sasana Movie from California. At this time, I'd like to proceed with our today, and I have the honor of introducing our guest speaker, presenter for today, Dr. Sakai. As we celebrate Dhammachakka today, let us take this moment to reflect about our daily lives in which we are faced with challenges such as oppression, extreme unbelievable anxiety, fear, and depression. Today, we are most fortunate to have Dr. Caroline Sakai, PhD, clinical psychologist in private practice, formerly the chief psychologist at Kaiser Hawaii Behavioral Health Services, who wrote about the Rwanda healing from genocide, evolving from surviving to thriving, outrage to reconciliation, and rage to peace and harmony. While we experience hands-on tools for letting go of hurt and anger and attaining enhanced resilience and compassion, inner calm, tranquility, and peace. Dr. Sakai has been deployed on trauma relief missions to New Orleans, Lahaina, and 12 years in Rwanda. She has published articles, many articles, and a book entitled Overcoming Adversity, How Energy Tapping Transforms Your Life's Experiences, a primer for post-traumatic growth. I believe is available today as well. And so today, without further ado, let's look at our guest speaker again, Dr. Karen Sakai.
Thank you so much. Let's see. Can you hear? Can you hear in the back? No, can't hear. This is not working, guys. Can you hear? No? I can't hear.
A little louder, Carol.
Oh, okay. If I move, I have to hold it this way. Can you hear now? No.
Yeah, now it's good. That was good.
Need to be louder?
That's good now.
Better with the microphone? Can you hear better with the microphone?
Yeah.
This is better.
Better.
Can you hear? Okay. We'll go with this and I'll try to stay near like that. I usually move around. Thank you so much for coming. This is such an honor and privilege. Please raise your hand if you cannot hear, because my voice can drop. So when you cannot hear, please raise your hand so I can try to speak more clearly and loudly. I am very honored to meet with you today, and I'm going to be looking at sharing with you about the energy tapping, thought field therapy. It's so good to see you here. And let's see if I can advance this. I'm going to share with you some information and share some photos from my work. I've gone 12 years to Rwanda to work with genocide survivors and in prisons, which I'll share with you. But first, some information that is very intriguing and enlightening. In Rwanda in 1994, there were 1,070,014 people killed in 90 days. This was including Tutsis, which is a minority group in Rwanda, and Hutus, the moderate Hutus. And when you look, I'll share below, it's out of a total population of 6 million, and 2.5 million of the Rwandans had fled the country. So when you look at the number of people left, and you look at over 1 million people killed, and if you look at the percentage of people in the population 85% were Hutus. Only 14% were Tutsis. So if you do the math, you look at, yes, that's because the Tutsis, over 700,000 were killed. And if you look at the math, that's why it's a genocide, extermination of this population in their country. Very intriguing too is almost 2 million, or actually, yeah, almost 2 million of the Rwandans, fellow Rwandans, were accused of participating in the genocide. And this is why this is considered one of the most egregious, intimate genocides in history. These are people who were neighbors, friends, relatives, family. And yet, this is the amazing thing, we also had 350,000 plus women and girls subjected to rape, torture, sexual slavery, and mutilation. And the estimates of PTSD in the post-genocide was 45 to 54% of the population. When you look at the magnitude of this horror, the amazing thing, and this is why I've gone so many times to Rwanda, because this is the most amazing thing. Despite this being such a horrendous trauma, we usually have revenge violence going back and forth. They had civil wars prior, but after the genocide of 1994, the way the country handled it made a significant difference, because they did not have the massive revenge genocide that we have seen throughout history. And when we look at even in our world today, we have things going back and forth with violence and the revenge violence. And this is why the lessons we learn from Rwanda are so relevant and germane to us today, because we have a lot to learn. And one of the things that has been helpful in Rwanda is in all the 12 missions I have been there, I have never once met a person who did not have a faith. They're majority Christians and Catholics. However, they embrace interfaith. They have Buddhists, they have welcome all, they have interfaith services also. But every person that I met there has some faith, and that helps. Also, the leadership handled things very differently. They said we need to be able to come together. President Kagame mandated that they had to work toward having justice. And you look at, if you have over 2 million people that you have to bring into the courts, how do you do that? We can look at the dilemma we have with the courts backed up in our country. How do they do that? They have kind of like, we have Kono here for more, working on things. They have Dhammachakka in Rwanda. What they did is mobilize their cultural court systems to augment that. They developed 10,000 Dhammachakkas to process 2 million people that were accused of the genocide. And they don't have big courtrooms. They had them under the umuvumu tree. It's kind of like our monkey trees. These huge trees, they gather outside and they have the justice on the grass, the charges, and they process the 2 million people. and they were able to do that and get them. Many of them were sentenced. They have to admit all the crimes that they did, every single one, which sometimes created problems because some of the survivors had not talked about the rapes or other things, and they had to relate every single crime that they committed, ask for forgiveness, and look at what they were going to do to make amends. And the survivors did not need to forgive them or accept their apologies then, but they were encouraged to, and many did at the time, and some did later. And they got to the point where the amazing thing, I've seen 5 villages in Rwanda where you have when they're out of prison, when they get out of prison, many of them serve 20 to 25 years, some less, depending on the sentencing. But when they were released from prison, they were able to get integrated in the same communities with the survivors. And they're vowing to help, so they are helping them to gather their firewood, helping them to till their fields, harvest their crops, and they are working side by side. And while they were in prison, and the survivors, if they were building their homes, which had been destroyed by fires, they were grass houses before, now they make them out of mud and brick. When they were building those homes, they were under guard, allowed to come out because they vowed to help the survivors. They were allowed to come to help them build their homes. And when their homes were being built, when they came out of prison, guess who came to help? The survivors forgave them, welcomed them into their community, and helped them build their homes, sometimes right next door to them, which made it easier for them to make restitution to help them with harvesting their crops, fixing their homes, gathering firewood, and so forth. So one of the things is that the way that they operated, they actually looked at having justice, because justice, without justice being served, you cannot get to forgiveness and reconciliation. And that's why they had to fast track the justice courts by having the Dhammachakkas, so they could process 2 million of the perpetrators in a record time. So the other thing is that besides the forgiveness and the justice, they actually looked at helping to look at what could help to heal the trauma. So the government was very active in trying to allow for programs that would help to work on the healing. And we were amongst them with looking at the Association for Thought Field Therapy was involved in bringing thought field therapy, which I'll be sharing with you today. It's an energy tapping technique. We brought that to Rwanda to help with healing from the traumas, from the PTSD, because like with the children here, these are among the is something? It's okay? Oh. Among we first went there 12 years after the genocide, and amongst the first groups of people that we worked with were 400 orphans. You see about 200 of them in this photo. And they had been in a transitional school. They were unable to study and learn because of the constant flashbacks and nightmares every single day. So they were not able to focus. They still were in a transitional school, not being able to read, write, or do the math very well. After we treated them for their traumas and their anger and the rage and the depression, they were able to concentrate. They were able to focus. And they learned. And in a matter of a year after we worked with them, they learned enough to pass the competitive Rwandan exams and get into the regular public schools, which was quite a feat. And on the recent mission we went this year, we actually met with a number of these kids who are now adults who actually shared what they're doing. 3 of them are doing what they said they wanted when they grow up to become like social workers, or psychologists, or therapists. And 3 of them are, and many of them are in business, farmers, all walks of life. But when we first met with them and had gotten the connection through the American Embassy in Rwanda, we were told that these orphans, because of the rough life that they had been living and the traumas that they had been suffering, their expected survival rate would be that they would be lucky to live past 20. And we went this year, and of course they're in their 30s and 40s, and they're alive and well, and they have been thriving. So a lot has to do with when you can heal from the wounds of the trauma and from the genocide. So we were working with the kids individually and in groups, and we saw the transformation in the children, and that was where they had really been super thin and they became more robust, and they were able to get productive. They were not depressed, so they were able to plant crops, and I'll show you, look at the crops that they grew. These are their cabbages, and they're huge. They were really being able to be productive, so they actually got to work with the NGOs, being able to do more farming. Their nutrition increased with having more of the vegetables. They actually learned things like this is we were able to get the sewing machines donated for them without the electricity because they had very little or none. And they were able to make clothes that they sold in the like tourist markets, and then they exported some of them out. And then we're looking at the adults. We worked with the adult survivors. These are the widows in the Izeri Center in Yumba. Where the widows, it's a patriarchal society. So if you're a widow with children, your children do not get school fees, which means that they're destined to remain in poverty because they cannot get the education. So they had to have a means to survive. However, they were not succeeding with the NGOs trying to help them, and the reason being they were depressed, they were fearful, they were having flashbacks, nightmares, not sleeping. And so after we treated them and they became able to focus and concentrate, they became very successful. And so when we first met with them, they had more, very few had even slippers or shoes. And then when we went back later, they had these beautiful clothes. They had purses, shoes, everybody had shoes. And it was interesting because while we were with them and looking at their warehouses, because not only were they able to grow enough to feed themselves and their families and neighbors, they were able to then, in the community, sell things in the market, and they still had surplus because they were very productive. They were starting to import their products to places like Denmark. And so they started getting more and more funds. So when we were looking at their warehouse with rows and rows and stacks of potatoes and sorghum and mushrooms, and then we looked outside and we saw men carrying big sacks of potatoes. So we looked at, oh, how come you have men there out in the field? Remember this patriarchal society, and they were on the bottom rung, the widows. And so they were laughing. They said, yes, we hired them and we're paying them to pick up the potatoes and carry the potatoes in the sacks, and they're being paid to do the hard work. Because they're very smart, very industrious, and they became very successful entrepreneurs. And that's also true with the single mothers. When we first worked with them, many of them, because they were very poor and not able to, eat, sometimes they didn't eat anything for 3 days because they had no food. And because of that, their babies were malnourished, because if the mother's not eating, she's not going to have any milk. So we're trying to get them to become more industrious so they could get goats, so they could have milk and cheese and meat, and that went on from there to being very successful. Now, we worked in the villages very successfully in the communities, and actually with people we have trained, we have reached about 1 million people in Rwanda with the thought-through therapy. And the other thing is, you have to also work. I've worked in domestic violence field early in my career. Before I was chief psychologist at Kaiser, I became interested in domestic violence and developed a program at Child and Family Service a long time ago. And one of the things we looked at is the importance, because I had started working with survivors, I realized you can't really treat that without treating the perpetrators. And that was something I was avoiding because I don't like to work with angry, violent people. But that's the only way you're going to stop this cycle of violence. You've got to also work on healing the perpetrators. So I have been working with domestic violence, with the domestic abusers. And so one of the things we looked at was being able to bring thought-through therapy into the prisons. So we worked with 13 prisons in Rwanda that we worked with. Training, this is all the people other than myself, and you see Deborah New, who's in the back from the Malani Kanal Foundation. Deborah, wave your hand. She's the second on the left, next to me there. And then you see on the right-hand side, the second person is Father Augustine, who you see a little bit more of later. We're training, and he helped to organize the trainings in the prisons. And in the prisons, working with the model prisoners first, here, Father Augustine is leading the thought-field therapy training. We train 50 model prisoners first, and then they help to train the next 50 to 100, and then so on. Some of the prisons have 6,000 inmates, so it takes a while to get around, but that's how they're doing it with the model prisoners first, and then they have review of the thought-field therapy every week. visit, they are expected to go into their home communities and to help to teach people who have not yet learned cultural therapy. Also, in the other thing is that they have a commemoration every year, starting April 7th when the genocide started. For 100 days, there is a commemoration in a county in Rwanda every day for 100 days. And in these commemorations, because they are looking at trying to prevent another genocide, they want not only for the healing for the people who were living through the genocide, but for the next generations to come, because we can have intergenerational genocide later if that is not addressed. And they realized that when they saw some of the attitudes of the younger people who had some very strong feelings. So they have programs that are geared toward that. And amongst that, these commemorations, they have all the families come out there. Everybody comes out. There's thousands or tens of thousands of people. And in the early years, before we had, this is the Red Cross right there. Red Cross people were trained, and so they actually helped to screen people, because when they have these tens of thousands of people gathering for the commemoration, they usually have about maybe 55, 60 people get hysterical, pass out. And then they don't know what's wrong with them, so they always had lots of ambulances to take them to the hospital. So they took them to the hospital, and then, we're going to be fighting them. Now, the Red Cross are trained with TFT. And what they do is they look at, medically check, they're having a heart attack or stroke. So if not, then they work with them with the TFT, calm them down, and then have them rest, and then have them go back to join the commemoration after they're recovered. And with this process that they're doing with the Red Cross, they have brought down from 55 to 60 ambulances needed to take people to the hospital. Now the average is 2 per commemoration. And this is in the Byumba diocese. You see Deborah pointing up there. You see, well, she's not tall enough to reach it. But you see number 11 is thought field therapy, TFT. There is a branch of this is the Commission of Service of Byumba. And you see number 11 is a thought field therapy. The people that had invited us there are number 5, Caritas, which is the Catholic Charities in Rwanda. In 2011, and Anne and Ken raised their hands. Dr. Ken and Anne Yabasaki were helping with this project that we had, because they kept saying, oh, you have to come back next year, yeah? Because we have so many more people to train and treat. I looked at it. Now I'm 83 years old. Even back then I was old. So I said, I can't keep going every year. So I said, okay, this is what we do. We have you come, and you see on the extreme right is Father John Marie Vianney Dushimirimana. Next in laughing in the front with the gray shirt is Father Dustin. And then we had Pastor Celestin Matabo, Christian and interfaith minister, and also he was a director, subsequent director for the orphanage that we saw the kids at. They came to Hawaii and spent a month here, and Dr. Yabasaki, two Yabasakis help with our training them with occular therapy to become trainers. And then we have them training pro bono, so they're helping to be able to do this training pro bono. We have a number of agencies in Hawaii. You see, the people here are from Halenau, Kono, and Waianae. We also have the people from Helping Hands Hawaii, where Anne was from, and IHS, Institute of Human Services, Salvation Army's Women's Way and Children's Treatment Center, Helping Hands Hawaii, and Halekomaikai from Molokai flew in to get this training. We trained them and then went to their agencies. That's why we're out in Waianae there. Then they supervise the people that they trained. And after going through this for a month, they were confident that they could do it in Rwanda, which they did very successfully. So after they were here in 2011, we didn't have to go all the way to Rwanda anymore. They were doing it very well until 2014. You know, the genocide was 1994. They said people are starting to be going to be released from the prison. We need your help to going into the prison. So that's where we went back to work with the prisons in 2014 and continued. So this is transforming trauma and rage into healing, reconciliation, and forgiveness, and also preventing intergenerational trauma and the revenge violence. And that's the lessons that we can learn from the Rwandans. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot of complexities to it, but I'm trying to encapsulate it in a nutshell so we can go to have you experience thought field therapy yourself. So, this is Father Augustine on our mission this year. He said, you know, if it were not for thought field therapy, he believes that there would have been a second wave of violence, a second genocide, with a revenge violence. And that's what they're working to prevent. And I thought about it and I said, you know, Father, that's a very important message. We have violence all over the world. We have it in our country. We have it all over the world. This message and lessons that Rwanda has learned and benefited from, and showing what can be done with forgiveness and reconciliation and living in relative peace and harmony compared to what was happening. Because they had a lot of civil wars prior to 1994, back and forth. That has stopped. They do not have massive violence. We have not had that since that genocide. And their vows to have it never happen again in Rwanda, they have very important lessons for all of us to learn. So I called, after I came back, I called Father Augustine and said, you know, you said that if it weren't for TFT, because healing from the traumas was so critical, would you be willing to present that at an international conference in the United States? So he's gotten permission from the bishop and he's getting it from the president. We're hoping to be able to apply to present it at an international conference next year. So hopefully we get selected to present. So thought field therapy is a somatic-based therapy. It facilitates opening up paths for forgiveness. It helps in healing devastating traumas like we've seen in Rwanda. And it is helping with letting go of the past pain. And it is helping to heal present and ancestral trauma. And we have someone who's been working on that in the audience today. that grief, pain, rage, shame, and guilt. So, for those of you who don't have the handout, let's, I think some of you have it, some of you don't. Let me have you, let's pass up handouts. So, there are 2 handouts. So, you can pass out the handouts. So, raise your hand, don't have one. Oh, yes, okay, just a few. Okay, so let me pass this out. Yes, and this is Roger who has done the forgiveness work. There's another person. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Someone, did you get this one? So, how do we get back to Okay, so this is the agenda that you have. So, this is the handout that you have. So we can actually work on this together. What we're doing is a meridian trauma sequence. Oh, thank you. What we're doing is a meridian trauma sequence, and we'll be looking at being able to work on, we'll be able to work on trauma with anger, rage, survivor guilt, grief, and looping rumination. So we're going to, as you see, it's marked out and divided into the different components. Everybody have this handout. If you don't raise your hand, we have them going around. Everybody got one? Okay. So what we're going to do, you don't have to look at the sheets, you just follow. And we have several TFT practitioners in the audience, so if you see someone, or you can stand up, and if you see someone who has trouble finding the points, then if you can help us with being able to show them exactly where we're tapping. Okay, so the first thing is we're going to look at the trauma part of the treatment. And we're going to start with the beginning of the eyebrow. You can do either side or both. You can either tap, you can press and release, or massage all of the points. Once you know how to do this and where the points are, you can also do it mentally. So we're going to be tapping or massaging on the beginning of the eyebrow, or the bladder meridian. This is part of our trauma treatment. And then the next step is on the bone under your eye. This eyebrow was the bladder meridian. Now we're going under the eye for the stomach meridian. This is also part of the trauma treatment. And then the next step is one hand width under your arm. Let's see. One hand width under your arm. And you can do it either side or both. Hug under your arms. And then the last one is between your two collarbone notches, go down an inch, over an inch. So So you're under the collarbone. So you can tap either side of both, press and release or massage, and you can also do this augmented. So that's for your trauma component. The next thing is working on the anger rage. The last digit of your tiny finger, if you can tap or press and release or massage on the last digit of your tiny finger. You can do either hand, or you can do both if you want. That is your heart meridian. The last digit of your tiny finger is your heart meridian. And the next point is the gallbladder meridian. From the outside corner of your eye, if you can move about horizontally about 3/4 of an inch, that is your outside edge of your eye. If you can massage there on the outside edge of your eye. It's too close to the eye, so you prefer not to tap there, because if you're really upset, you might poke your eye, you don't want any injuries. So best to find the point and massage it for your gallbladder meridian, for the rage response. And then a lot of times we have, like we encountered this a lot in Rwanda, the survivor guilt. So the last digit of your index finger, right on the side of the nail bed, is on the thumb side. You can massage and tap or press and release there for your index finger. That's really good. And then we have the grief, sadness, depression. It also works for fatigue and pain. A lot of them were having still pain, even though we're seeing them 12 years or more after the genocide. The gamut spot. And that is between your last two fingers, past the knuckle, between the 4th and 5th metacarpal. Between the 4th and 5th finger bones is a little valley there. You can put 3 or 4 fingers right in that valley. You can either tap, press and release, or massage. That is your thyroid meridian, and it helps with grief, it helps with sadness, depression, fatigue, chronic pain. And that one we usually do longer, so you can stay there longer, especially if you have pain, physical pain, if you have fatigue. And now, a lot of times we see the rumination, it's looping, the thoughts, the memories are looping. So for looping, and that's for some of us who tend to be perfectionists, so we worry about things. This is a good one for that. Between your 2 collarbone notches, go down an inch, over an inch, so you're under the collarbone. You can tap or press and release or massage there. That's where your kidney meridian. And then on the bone under the center of the eye is your stomach meridian. And then under your collarbone for your kidney meridian. So that is for the looking for the obsessive rumination. That's true when we have continual flashbacks as well. So after doing that treatment, that is the main meridian treatment, then we are doing wrapping the memories. The memories are stored in the somatic memory. Stephen Porges has helped us with understanding that with polyvagal theory. Falcon therapy is a polyvagal theory informed therapy. And what we're doing is what we just worked on with the meridians is trying to address that 80% of the information that goes from the body to the brain. And most of our therapies work on the 20% that go from the brain to the body. So cognitive therapies, behavioral therapies, all our talk therapies that I was using for most of my career before I learned thoughtful therapy are working with the cognitive part. That's only 20%. And we were getting about 20% effectiveness with the talk therapies. But if you don't address what's locked into the body memory, and this is very, very significant when we have severe trauma like we had in Rwanda, because people said that nothing was working to be able to heal what they were feeling in the body. But thoughtful therapy did, because it is a somatic-based therapy. It works on what's in the body memory. So when we can address that, we can clear that 80%. And it's, Dr. Stephen Porges has many books and over 250 articles. I went to his seminar and I had this book, Clinical Applications of Polyvagal Theory, and I was wanting his autograph, and I thanked him for his polyvagal theory because I said it helped to explain to us what we were seeing in Rwanda, because we couldn't understand all these people that were so severely traumatized. Some of them, of course, some of them took months of treatment or weeks or many, many hours, but there were many who really did not have traumas before the genocide. So in that sense, even though it was horrific, and by anybody's account, it's one of the most horrific things you ever heard, but they were single trauma in that sense that they did not have prior traumas. And those people, much to our surprise, they're crying, they're depressed, they're angry, they want to kill the people that killed all their families. They're really distressed. And for some of them, in like 12, 15 minutes of tapping, they started smiling and laughing, and they said, I don't feel the pain. I remember it, but it's not like in my face, like I'm reliving it. It's not in the body memory now. They've been able to heal what's stored in the body memory. So they can remember it, but they said, yeah, it's like even not a color TV. It's like a black and white TV, and it's far away. It's not in my face, like I'm reliving it all over again. And that is the power of a somatic-based therapy. So when I was thanking Stephen Porges for it, Stephen Porges said, "You're the one that went to Rwanda and wrote the stuff on Rwanda?" I said, "Yeah, we did go to Rwanda. I was part of a team with the TFT team." He said, "Oh, gotta take your picture." So I have a picture with he and I. We took our masks off and we took pictures because he said he was trying to prove his theory for decades. But you don't have the severe trauma, so you don't see it in the college sophomore research studies. He said when he read our study, he said, "Yay, they have proved his theory works, that his theory is correct." And that's where we look at, we have to heal the trauma that's stored and locked in the body memory. And one of the things we're doing to grab the memory is working on addressing the thyroid meridian, where you're holding on the back of your hand. So if you can hold there, or tap, or press and release or massage. And while you're doing that, we're going to do, how when you think about things that happened in the past, you look in different directions depending on where the memories are stored. We're deliberately going to do some eye movements and some activities to grab those memories that are in our body and brain, grab the memories, and then after we grab those memories, we're going to repeat the meridian treatment again so we can treat the memories that we're now accessing. So to access the memories, if you can hold or massage that gamut spot on the back of your hand, keeping your head relatively still, you're just going to move your eyes. So close your eyes, open your eyes, keeping your head relatively still. Let just your eyes look down on the floor on one side of you. Then let your eyes go to normal eye level. Then let just your eyes look down on the floor on the other side of you. Then let your eyes go to normal eye level. Now, this next part, if there's anybody that has retinal detachment, then don't follow these directions. You can do it differently. If anybody has retinal detachment, don't do it because you don't want to affect the retinal detachment. If it's uncomfortable or you feel any kind of discomfort, then stop and just do it without doing the eye rolls that we're going to be doing. If you don't have discomfort, then while you're accessing the thyroid and anchoring on the thyroid meridian, let just your eyes go round in a circle in one direction. Then let just your eyes go round in a circle in the opposite direction. Good. Now activate the right side of your brain, which is the more creative spatial relationship side, by humming different notes. You can do it either silently or out loud. Then activate the left side of your brain, the more verbal analytical side, by counting either silently or out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then activate the right side again by humming. Good. Now that we access the memories by these activities to trigger those memories, we're going to go back to the meridians. So if you can do the beginning of your eyebrow, you can either tap, press and release, or massage for the bladder. Then the bone under the center of the eye for your stomach, we're going to Dhammachakka. Under your eye for your stomach. Then under your arm for your spleen. Then under your collarbone for your kidney. And now we're going to do the anger, rage, tiny finger for your heart. Then the outside edge of your eye for the gallbladder. And then for the guilt, the index finger, last digit of your index finger, on your guilt. And now we're going to do the grief, sadness, depression, pain, fatigue, the gamut spot on the back of your hand. If you can massage and tap there. And this one we usually do longer, more like about a half a minute to a minute. Very good. And then under your collarbone. And then we're going to do the looping rumination. So under your collarbone, then under your eye, and then under your collarbone. Okay, so there are more steps that we can go through, because then we can do what we call a reversal, to open a door, to allow the meridian sandwich to go deeper. So that's a basic, though, meridian sandwich. What you're seeing up on the screen now is on my website. On my website, that is the on my website, you will find this picture of the girl, and when you push the white buttons, you can see what meridians there are. You can also see alternative points that are, for example, off the face when you're dealing with burn victims. So there are alternative points that you can look at up on my website if you're interested in seeing that. Oh, I'm going backwards. How do I get to go forward? Okay, so any questions on that? Because I'd like to do one more thing before we close. Any questions on the meridian treatment? Okay, this next part, we're going to try to get everybody, get your body English into it, because we want to really be able to let go of everything. So be prepared to stand up if you want. And we're actually going to have prizes actually. Room. You can make this half of the room versus this half of the room. Let's see, we can have maybe, Karen, you want to be a cheerleader? So you can be a cheerleader. We can have one more volunteer to be a cheerleader. Yeah, come up. And so you take one side, you take the other side. We're going to try to get the body English, the volume up, raise the roof. Oh, it's okay. We're going to try to work on letting go. So what we're going to do is I have combined, and we've used this in Lahaina with the fire, people from the fire. Yeah, we can stand up so we can really shake it out and lift it up. What we're going to do is we're combining a butterfly hug, which was developed by Lucinda Ortega's trauma mission in Acapulco post-Hurricane Palu, and the thoughtful therapy centering, which you learned earlier with tapping on the chronic point on the side effect of holding it, and we're going to incorporate diaphragmatic breathing. So let's see, I've got that unfolding thing to do this, so I'm going to put this down. So what we're going to do is we're going to, and you can have people watch, we're going to bring our hands together and interleave the thumbs. So you're making a butterfly. So bring up the butterfly, interleave your thumbs so that you have and then the wings can make the butterfly. So we're going to let us choose to bring our hands together to form the butterfly. And we're going to choose to bring our crossed hands over our hearts, gently tapping healing energy, calming care, love, and gratitude into our hearts. We want to be centered and strong as we now turn our healing energies toward our neighbors, friends. Ohana, we want to send that aloha out to everyone. And now this part is the part we're going to have our cheerleaders help us. So we're going to have this section against that section, and then we're going to have prizes because the people who cheer and the most body English and the most noise, they can maybe choose 3 or 4 of the trick-or-treats we have, and the other people will choose 2 or 3. So we're going to see the competition. Okay, so we're going to now, and repeat after me and our 2 cheerleaders, we're going to, and repeat, we want to let go of overwhelm. Let go of overwhelm. Let go of overwhelm. Good. Let go of frustration.
Let go of frustration.
Very good. Let go of pain.
Let go of pain.
Yay. Let go of anger. energy rise up from our centers, moving upward with deep breaths up to our hearts. And now I'm going to take slow, deep breaths from our diaphragm. So take a slow, deep breath from your diaphragm. Hold the breath. And very slowly re-exhale, emphasizing the exhalation to increase the relaxation. Good. Then move your crossed arms up over your hearts onto opposite shoulders. And gently tap on alternate shoulders in calming centered butterfly hugs. We can continue to take slow, deep breaths, hold the breaths, and then even more slowly exhale. Very good. And this is something that with little children, I've oftentimes had them comfort themselves with doing the butterfly hugs. And then if you're anxious or worried, and then letting it go. And then if they have a little bit remaining, make the little butterfly on their heart, calm down their heart with a little residual, and then let that fly away. So we can do that with the children as well. Okay, and you know, I think, what do you think? It looks like a tie. Okay, good thing we have enough. So everybody take 4. Okay, very good. So that, I think want to thank everybody. And I want to do a special thank you. Let's see. And Carly, are you here? Carly, can you come up? What I want to do is, these are people that have helped to help us shine the light into enlightenment. And Carney organizing this, but I have to represent everyone, including people on Zoom. And so you're going to hold this. And then we have so what you can do is if you can pull the thing that's stopping the battery from working, pull the white thing and pull it, pull that out. And then if it doesn't light up, then turn it on. So this is the light of enlightenment that you are all shining around the island, around the country, around the nation, around the globe, with the enlightenment that you are bringing. And this is where we are joining. We did this in Rwanda, and we are joining forces with them with their work on forgiveness and reconciliation. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Any questions? Now we can open the floor to questions. And that's my website. Well, that's for you. So any questions? Let's get the question. And that's my contact information. So let's start the question. So we can put the questions. So who has the first question? Yeah, I have a question. Okay, yes.
So, in Rwanda, how long does it normally take this process for therapy?
Oh, that's a very good question. In Rwanda, the process of the therapy varied. There were some people that even we looked at them when they're smiling and laughing and we said it's gone. We looked at them because some it's like, I think, as short as 7 minutes. not many more months. That's what we train people to continue working with them. But there were some, quite a number, that's why we're astounded, quite a number with simple trauma in the sense that, horrendous as it was, they had no prior history of trauma. They grew up in loving homes. I mean, they have, gets bad. But like one guy said, I've never seen blood before. I've never seen violence before, except I saw my father kill the chicken that we ate. You know, that was the extent of it. So when we worked on the traumas he had, even though they were horrific, it's like in about 12 minutes, he said, it's gone. I've had this for 15 years, every single day, every single night. And how come it's gone? It's released from the mind. You can release it from the body memory effectively, but the right treatment to get to that body memory, it can release. I've worked with World War II veterans who had, you know, like they're having a prosthesis. They said, I know I don't have the leg anymore, but I have the pain right here. You know what the prosthesis is? I said, yeah, because you don't have the leg, brain where the pain is stored. And they remember exactly what happened. They said, yes, I can still hear it, smell it, feel it every single day, every single night, every single moment. That was quite a while back. I'm 83 years old, so I've been seeing people for almost 50 years, right? So then they looked at, how can it be gone with cry? And they said, why didn't somebody show me this? I've been taking pain medications, doesn't work. Been doing all these treatments, nothing worked. Why didn't somebody show me this story? Because it's gone. When you can heal the body memory, it can work very quickly. So it varies. And with some of the Rwandans, it was a matter of minutes. And that's why when Stephen Porges saw our work, he said, that proves his theory. How else can it work that fast? Unless it's healing what's in the body memory. Like he said in the video, you can instantly change it if you got the right connections. So that's a very good question. Thank you. Does that answer it? Yeah. And there was a question here.
I was wondering in your work in Rwanda if you noticed any difference in doing the treatment in a group of people, so multiple people versus one-on-one?
That's a very good question. We did, in many of the cases, because we were trying to treat many people at the same time, we did groups. So we would look at all the people that remitted with their, we're doing the subjective units of distress, 0 to 10. So all the ones that went to 0, okay, they're good to go. The ones that still have some, we're looking at individualized treatment, so that we stay and work with them one-on-one. So we can actually work with a whole group of people, and we may have maybe sometimes as much as 80%. That's how they do it. They're good to go. Then we work with the rest because, we usually have only now we're having a smaller teams. So when we first started off, we were teams maybe 8 people or a very small group, but we were training the Rwandan. So we had more and more people. But that's where efficiency, you can actually do a group, and then people need more, then you can continue more and more. Very good question. Did that answer your question? Is that okay? Okay, there was a question. Yes.
Just wondering if this works for dealing with difficult people or situations?
Difficult people. Yes. That's a very good question. This is, I've been a therapist for 50 years. This is the broadest spectrum, most effective treatment that I have come across in all my career. And I have had the privilege of learning from, the top people in the mission. I've worked EMDR with Francine Shapiro. I've trained with many master therapists. Functional therapy has been hands-on. That's why I call my practice thought field therapy, Inc., because it's a broad spectrum. And when you're dealing with difficult people, there's a lot of complexity. Sometimes we have anger, irritation, annoyance. Sometimes we have guilt. Sometimes we have shame, embarrassment, trauma. We have a lot of different things. And this treatment, I have a lot of referrals from cardiologists, gastroenterologists. In fact, one of the gastroenterologists said, he had stacks of tests to do because, a lot of us when we're stressed, we have GI symptoms, right? So they go in, they get all these tests that are, even with a copay, thousands of dollars. And he said most of them are negative. So all these tests, the hit rate is relatively low. When he learned about the thought field therapy, he said he had staff trained. He and the staff would actually do, if somebody comes in with symptoms, before they order all the tests, they did, well, try this, and if it works in the office, he said, okay, keep doing it, come back tomorrow. And when they come back tomorrow, he said, it's a miracle, it's gone. They don't do the thousands of dollars of tests. So when he said now he has a stack, instead of many stacks that high, he has one stack like this, and the hit rate is very high because it's already ruled out where it's stress related or emotion related. So the hit rate, so most of that stack is positive. So it's a way to screen. So that's a very good question. Does that answer your question? We're dealing with difficult people. We usually have a little frustration. This works very well with frustration, guilt, embarrassment, anything. And when we're dealing with difficult people, one of the things that is quite true often is that they know how to push our buttons. They know how to get us to react. So when we can actually stay centered, grounded, calm, and there are different things. There's also one part of thought field therapy we call that, or energy tapping, where you can actually give yourself more protective umbrella against negativity. So there are various things that we can do. It's a very broad spectrum. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you so much. I'm sorry I'm running. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
I help a preschool at my temple. And this year, there's a 3-year-old class. There's some children that are very difficult. And just those 2 children makes the whole class so hard. So can you do something with very young children?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, this last trip when we were in Rwanda, we were working with, they started a daycare